One of the quieter shifts that happens as life settles is how responsibility feels. Not what you're responsible for, that often stays the same, but the way responsibility lands in the body begins to change. For a long time, responsibility may have felt heavy, something you carried, something that pressed down on you. Bills, work, family, commitments, even small obligations could feel loaded, as if they were asking more than the task itself. This episode is about what happens when responsibility remains, but the weight around it starts to loosen. You may notice this in simple moments: answering an email, taking care of something that needs attention, showing up where you said you would. The action happens, but the inner pressure doesn't. You're not bracing yourself before you begin. You're not telling yourself a story about how much you have to carry. You just do what's needed. This doesn't mean responsibility becomes easy. Some responsibilities are still demanding. Some still require effort and energy, but the sense that you are being burdened by them fades. Earlier, responsibility often came with self-reference. What does this say about me? Am I doing enough? Am I failing if I can't keep up? Those questions added weight. They turned responsibility into something personal. Now, responsibility feels more situational. Something needs attention. You respond. When it's done, it's done. You don't keep carrying it internally. This can feel unfamiliar at first. We're used to responsibility being tied to identity. Being responsible meant being a certain kind of person. Reliable, capable, strong. So when responsibility no longer reinforces identity, it can feel strangely empty. But that emptiness isn't loss. It's relief. You're no longer proving anything through what you carry. Responsibility without weight doesn't mean you care less. In many ways, you care more clearly. You're not overwhelmed by everything at once. You're not projecting into the future. You're present with what's actually being asked right now. That presence makes responsibility more precise. You don't overextend. You don't neglect. You respond, then you let go. This is especially noticeable in how you relate to other people's expectations. Earlier, expectations could feel suffocating. You felt responsible not just for tasks, but for how others felt, how situations turned out, how things were perceived. Now, expectations are easier to see for what they are: information, requests, preferences, not commands. You can meet them when appropriate and let them pass when they're not. This doesn't require confrontation. It doesn't require explanation. It's a quiet clarity. Responsibility without weight also changes how you experience guilt. Guilt used to follow responsibility closely. If you didn't do enough or didn't do it perfectly, guilt filled the gap. Now, guilt may still arise, but it doesn't direct your actions. You notice it. You don't obey it. You respond based on capacity, not on self-judgment. This makes responsibility sustainable. You're no longer pushing beyond what's reasonable to satisfy an internal standard. You're meeting life as it is. Another place this shift shows up is in planning. Planning still happens. You still look ahead, but planning no longer feels like preparing to carry more. It feels like coordination. You arrange what needs arranging. You make space where you can, and you trust that you'll respond to what comes when it comes. This trust isn't blind. It's grounded in experience. You've seen that life doesn't require constant preloading. It unfolds and you meet it. Responsibility without weight also affects how you rest. Rest doesn't feel like avoidance. You're not shirking duties. You're not escaping. You rest because nothing is required in that moment. And when something is required again, you respond. There's no internal ledger tracking what you owe. This removes a deep, often unnoticed tension. The tension of always feeling behind. When responsibility loses its weight, you stop feeling like life is chasing you. You're not trying to stay ahead of demands. You're responding to them as they arise. This episode isn't suggesting that responsibility disappears. Life still involves commitment, care, reliability, but those things don't have to be carried as pressure. They can be lived as participation. You're part of what's happening, not the one holding it all together. That distinction matters. It allows you to stay engaged without being crushed by obligation. If you're listening to this and noticing that responsibility feels quieter lately, less dramatic, less personal, you're not disengaging. You're relating differently. You're no longer measuring yourself by how much you can carry. You're responding to what's here with the energy that's available. And that's enough. If these reflections help responsibility feel less heavy and more workable, you're welcome to stay with the season as it continues. Liking the video helps it reach others who may be learning how to live responsibly without living under pressure. If someone you care about feels buried under obligation, you're welcome to share this with them, only if it feels right. Responsibility doesn't need to be carried like a burden. Can be met, one moment at a time.